Okay, we'll be starting from here today, from the principles of typography. Yesterday we looked at the principles of design generally. Those are we looked at hierarchy, contrast. You look at space, white space. We look at we look at a lot of things yesterday. We look at what it means to use of assets, quality of assets, But today we'll continue from that place now. And like I said, typography, principles of typography. Now, this will further, typography is one of the principles of graphic design. And now we want to narrow down to look at what typography is itself. Typography is what some people get it wrong when it comes to typography, while some people they mastered what's this place? While some people have mastered what typography is. Typography makes us is the formation of is the use of our typeface, the use of fonts, apply typeface. You have to know what you are designing for. You have to know the particular niche you are designing for. You don't just pick a design and just use a random font for a design. For any design you want to do, don't just pick a particular design. We don't just pick a particular design as a designer. We look at what the team is standing for, what the niche we are designing for, what they stand for. Those are the things we look at. We'll be looking at the anatomy of typography, classification of typography, use cases. We look at the technicalities. We look at the font pairings, the fonts to pair together when you're working on the design, and best practices. Okay, now we have the anatomy of typography. Now this is anatomy of typography. Now if you look, you will see some things here. We'll see the bar. Now this top here of any font, the top of any font here is called bar, the bar. Then we have this now. This to be the tail, sorry. We have this to be the tail. If you can see very well the tail. And sorry, so that I want to zoom in so that you can see it well. This is the tail, and we have this place to be the stem of the front. We have this inner circle. This inner circle here is called close encounter. Close encounter. I started from this. The top of any letter like this is called bar. The top bar. While the small circle here, not circle per se, kind of over shape, is called the tail. While we have this place, this stem, this is the stem, just like the stem of a tree. When a tree is standing, we have the stem of a tree. This is the stem. Open space of an O is closed encounter. Is a closed encounter, and this side of the G is called the link. It's called the link. It's the one linking the O to that tail to every place like that. It's linking to it, and we have the loop. This side is the loop of the typography of the font, and this here now, here, can you see this side of this G is called here. It's just like the hair of a dog. If you see, it's looking like a dog hair. That's what this is for, and that's what this is called. And this particular side of R is called the terminal. It's called the terminal. And now, before I come back to this side, to this serif. Now, we have terminal. Then we have this place. It's called the bow. The bow. If you look at bow and arrow, when you're having a bow and arrow, when you have an arrow, what you will stretch, that bow is looking like a bow. Is having a bow shape. That's why we have a bowl. But this one is called a bowl. Now we have this descender. This side, this down part is called the descender. In our typography, we have this downside where this line is. Touching the down part that touches this line is called the descender. It's called the descender. And for this H, it's called ascender. It's called the ascender. And this side of H of any letter, if you can see something like this, you see it in N as well. This side, you see it in N. It's called shoulder. Called the shoulder. While this part, this open space, is called open counter. If you remember, we have a closed counter. This is an open counter. Is the O. A closed counter is having a closed counter. While we have for Y is an open counter. Do you know why is open and closed? If you notice this Y there's no blocking this white space here. That's why it's open counter. Why for O there is no open space here. Everywhere is blocked. Everywhere is closed. That's why we have a closed counter. If you look at this line now, we have 3 lines. The line Yeah, the first line where your font, your capital letters, where the underline. Now, this is very important to know. It's very important to know all these basics. Now, we have the ascender line here, where the capital, most of the capital letter and the letters that have an ascender, where the rest on is called the ascender line. While the second line, we have the second line here. Okay.
The same thing.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, this second line is the one forming height with the baseline. Now we have an ascender, we have this second line forming an height, helping the baseline to form an height here. While we have the third line called the baseline, or is the baseline. Now, this one here, that those letters, the ones having tail, having descender, what they are resting on is descender line. They are what descender line. Now, let me make it so that you can remember. If you notice this H line, and the line at the top of it is called ascender line. For the tail, we can see this tail here. Or let me use this P, for example. This P now, the down part of the P is descender, and the line they are resting on is descender line. While the baseline is where all the letters, all the letters are resting. Is where their tails and their descender are resting on, that we call the descender. I believe we understand this part, the anatomy of typography. Now, it's just like human skeleton. We human, we have skeleton, and in school we're taught the parts of the skeleton. We have the skull, we have we have all those parts of those skeleton in our body that we can see. This one too is also anatomy, the skeleton of a typography. This is what we are looking at. It's just imagine yourself looking at a skeleton in the lab. For those that are science, I guess it's always in junior classes that you see. This is same thing we are looking at. We're looking at the anatomy, the skeleton part of a typography. Now let's look closely at this one. Now, if you have an A, the tip of an A is called the apex. The tip here is called the apex. While we have this top, the top of C, the top of any letter of C. These are the major ones. We call them counter. Now, if you remember, we have a counter here, which is close counter and open counter here. But this place for this top of C is called counter, ordinary counter. It's not open or close counter. Now, this inner now will now be what? An open counter. The top is counter. This place we call open counter. Now, let's look at this E. This E is what? The part of this E is called an high. This is an high. High to C, the eye to C. Why this side of S is called the spine of S. Is called the spine. S spine. Now, this dot is called title. The dot of an eye is called title. While the cross stroke for this T, this one across the T is called cross stroke. Cross stroke. Now, if we see it, let me go back. Now we have the bar, we have the tail, we have the close counter, we have the stem, we have the link, we have the loop, we have the here, which is this, we have the terminal, we have the hey. I wanted to explain this the other time. I just remembered now. Sorry. I wanted to explain this serif where we have. So I'm trying to zoom in. I don't know why it's a minute, please. Sorry, please. I'm trying to zoom in. Why is this thing? Minutes. Why is this thing doing like this? Now I'm trying to explain this serif here. Now, this serif, we'll get there later in this course. There is what we call serif and sans serif. This serif means with a tail. That means sans is without a tail. Why serif is with a tail. You will still see more of that serif, more of that part of serif in later today. We'll do that. Now, look at what I'm saying now. This is serif fonts and this is sans serif fonts. Now, fonts are divided into different parts. We have serif, we have sans serif, we have slab serif, which we'll see. Now, these serif fonts, they are letters with short lines coming off the edges. Now, this short line, can you see this short line? It's been circled here. This short line, this short line, this short line like this coming out that I called the other time. These short lines coming out, they are what makes this serif. It means having serif, they are having fonts that have short lines. They viewed as more formal and traditional. Best suited for printed logo, bold body copy, website, and titles. Now, most serif fonts, if you see most designs that have serif fonts, they are designs for fashion. You will always say for fashion. Serifs are always represented for fashion. If you see magazines, most of them will see serif fonts. And for luxury as well, anything luxury fashion like is always serif. And serif was what their font that was first being used in olden days, in ancient days. They started people fell in love for serifs. If you see serif, it's always a royal font that people want to use. Then as time goes on, as the technology keeps moving, you will see that people are now moving to minimal fonts where sans serif comes. But before we go to sans serif, we have examples of serif fonts are we have Georgia, we have Cambria, we have Book Antique, we have our Raleigh BT, we have Raleigh BT, we have ETC, we have what do we call this? Century. Century is also a serif font. Now, and lots more. We have lots of them. Lots of serif fonts, there are plenty. And anywhere you see this kind of fonts, you should know that they are called serif fonts. And for you to use, you don't just use any kind of font, like I said before. For each particular design you want to do, you should know that what niche does this, if it's relating to clothing, fashion, anything fashion, it's the best font to always use is serif font. Now we are looking at sans serif. Sans serif means without short lines. You know, this sans means without serif. Now this one is serif. That means with short line. This one is now without serif, without short line. They are letter without serif, viewed as informal, playful. Best suitable for digital works, logo, body copy, and titles. Recently now, if you see modern designs, and they are always used for modern designs. If you see modern designs, you will always see sans serif fonts there, and especially in technology as well. Anything tech, anything innovation, you will always see sans serif fonts there. And sans serif creates this boldness. It gives this vibe, these youthful vibes. But serif gives this kind of old fashion kind of vibes. We have Mazard, we have we have Compton, we have Connect, a lot, and a lot. We have a lot of them. We have Myrads, a lot of sans serif fonts. And if one is familiar with font, you would have come across some of these fonts. Any fonts that doesn't have short lines like this, they are called sans serif fonts. Now, another one we want to look at is slab serif fonts. Now, if you look at this serif font, you see that the lines are sharp, this is sharp. Why that of just a rectangular so now slab serif font, the type that was like those sand spaces, but with solid rectangular top on the end. Now, these things that are like at the head, is that they also give a modern vibe. But compared to that, if you look at
Sorry, sir.
sans serif is.
Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
I don't know
Yes.
if it's only me. I cannot hear very well.
Oh, you can't hear me very well.
Yeah, I don't know.
How
Probably from my
about
end.
now?
I think it's
It's a
kind of
little
clear now.
better.
Okay, you notice what do you say, please?
I was saying it's a little better. I initially thought it was my network that wasn't making me hear you clearly.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me very well now?
Yes.
Okay, it's better now. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay, kindly let me know if this class logs out like we did yesterday. you can still log in with the same link again in case we have been logged out of this class. It's remaining 7 minutes, 9 minutes. I mean, for this log out. Let's log in back. Okay. Sorry for that. I didn't know. Please, thank you for calling my attention to that. Okay. Let's talk about slab. That slab and examples of slab fonts, slab serif fonts are Musio, Roboto, Brie, Black Code, STD. We have Chaparral, etc., etc. These are examples of slab serif fonts. And another one here we have that is popular is script fonts. So popular. They are always popular. I see them as most popular fonts. Now, they resembles handwriting and often used in formal invitations. They are often used in formal invitations, not ideal for body copy. Yes, I need to emphasize on this. Please, whenever you are don't use script fonts for a body copy. They are used as accompanying in designs. They are used for headers. You can use them for headers for some handwriting, anything you want to write that is an accompaniment in a design. You don't use them for your body text. If you use them for body text, you will see that they will not be too open like that. Let me show you an example. I want to show you an example now of what I'm saying. Okay. Uh let me a minute, please. Now, let's type of font now. And I want to use a script font for body text. You will see what I'm talking about now. Let me use a minute, please. Sorry, a minute, please. I don't know what to make my system slow. Be slow like this. Okay, I want to pick Alex brush. Now, if you look closely, you see that this is not that visible. You see. Now, let me give it a color white. Now, you can see this text is in white now, but they are not legible. If you now change it to another font that is not script, you see that it will be legible. I'm going to use Looker, for example. Now, can you see what I'm saying? Can you see that this one is more legible and you can see it very well compared to a script font? And that's why I'm saying that in your body text, don't use script fonts for body text. Don't use scripts. Okay, let's continue. Now we have we've checked about we have an examples of script fonts are Alex Brush, the one I use for that for my body text the other time. We have Script Thinner, we have Vivaldi Italic, we have Below Hole, we have Ralph, Lanoco Future, etc. etc. There are plenty. We have Signature, we have a lot. We have photography, Signature, a lot of them like that. Now, other font classifications, we have monospace, we have black letter, we have cursive, we have modern, we have handwritten, we have decorative fonts. Now, we want to look at font pairing. Try as much as possible to use contrasting fonts by varying font width and size. Now, if you want to pair fonts together, you don't just pick two. One we have to consider is the font that will be engaging, that will be visible to the audience, and that also speak about that niche. You can use two if you want to use two different fonts together. There are some fonts that if you use them together, they don't go well at all. While there are some, if you use them together, they sit well. Now, look at this Fortune and Fame. You see how this goes very well. This Fortune and Fame, the way it's being matched together, it goes very well. Now, let's go to the next slide. We'll still look at font pairing more. Now, when pairing our fonts, we need to do that like I said the other time, that if you want to compare, if you want to pair your fonts, you can pair them with fonts that, like, you use sans serif with script in your header. Now, you can also make use of a bold sans serif with a light sans serif, like is here. Now, let's say you now combine a serif font and a slide. They won't sit well. So that we have to be careful of our fonts pairing. The fonts will be paired together. It's very important. If you want to combine, and you can't combine, you should not combine script fonts or handwriting fonts with serif fonts. It will look somehow. Understand? Okay, let's continue. We have technicalities. I want to look at technicalities used in fonts. There are some certain words, there's some certain terminology used in fonts. And number one here is leading. We have leading. This is the space between these lines, the lines upon which a letter sits. Horizontal. Your letter, we have like this, and an horizontal spacing in your, this is leading. Horizontal spaces. Can you see? We have another one, kerning. Kerning, this is the white space between individual characters, and many fonts, the space between letters look more natural. Now, you can see the spaces between letters, the letters, they are what we call kerning. Why? Another one, we have tracking. Tracking is used to adjust the spaces uniformity over a range of characters. To let's continue with what we are doing. Come in, please. Okay, we're looking at tracking, and I was mentioning the other time that tracking is a uniform space over the range of characters, and also known as letter spacing. Now, if you see this, we have letter spacing here. Tracking can affect the character density of the page. Now, what do we mean by it is that if it can affect the character spacing, the character density. I mean, the way it's being stretched, sometimes it will look overstretched. If the tracking is being used too much, it will look overstretched, that our text will lose its spacing. It will look that, I mean, they should be together evenly. Technologies. Leading is when you adjust your, let me show us an example so that I won't just be doing theory. Let me show us example of what leading is. Now, I will type, sorry, let me type something here. A minute, please. I'm coming. Okay, let me type something randomly here. Now, if you can see this. Now, what do we call, let me expand, let me increase it so that we can all see it. Now, what do we call leading? Our leading is the space between this horizontal space between these two texts. Now, if I want to increase the leading now, let me show you what leading is. Can you, no, sorry, this is leading. Can you see? Can you see that it's increasing? It's increasing like this. This is the leading. This space here, you see that this space is increasing. Why our kerning is this one. If you see, they even write it here. Let me see. Show so you see the leading. Oh, it is. Okay. Now this is our kerning. Can you see? This is our kerning. Can you see that it's increasing? That means the spaces between these texts, the letters, can you see that it's increasing? Can you see that it's increasing? That's our kerning. And for the tracking, it's the even space here. There's a way we increase this even space here. Let me show you the letter space. Coming. This thing is still loading. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you can see leading, you can see tracking. Okay, this is tracking, and the kerning horizontal. Now, hope we get what I'm trying to explain. Now, this is the leading here. Why the tracking is the spaces between the letters. That's the tracking. Why the leading is the horizontal space between two sentences. Why, or two words. While, all right, let's go back to what we are doing. Now, these principles are just very important because if you get out or if you're working in a professional organization and they are using those terminologies, at least you'll be able to understand, okay, if you hear leading, you'll be able to say, okay, this is what they are talking about, like this is what they are talking about. Now, if you see the difference between this tracking, because they look alike, the difference between tracking and kerning is that for the tracking, the spaces between those texts, those letters, they are even. They have even spaces. They must be even. That's for tracking. While for this kerning, the spaces between the letters, they are not even. They are not even. There are some typefaces like that you see them that their spaces are not even, but you can make them even using your tracking. Now, still on font pairing, when we talk about font, try as much as possible to use contrasting fonts like serif and script, sans serif and script, slab and script, and or slab serif and sans serif. Now, let's look at this now. We have ladies and gents. Look at these ladies and gents. Script, and we use this script here, script fonts, and a sans serif font here. In this place, we use a serif font and a sans serif font here. Look at the pairing. For this one, we use sans serif and serif fonts. For this one, we use script and slab serif here. For confidence in style, we use script and sans serif. You see how font works like that. And for us to use it, there must be a particular one that's, if you notice the way they are using those fonts here, there are some particular ones that are being given the hierarchy. Man of the hour. Hour here is being given an hierarchy. Now, just like some of the things we did yesterday, we did part of the principles, hierarchy, contrast, If you see this here, ladies is being given the hierarchy, design is given the hierarchy here, virtuous woman is given hierarchy here, confidence and style, confidence is being given the hierarchy. That's part of what it is. Okay, before I forget, there was something I wanted to show us yesterday. Some designs I was trying to open that they were not opening, that didn't open them yesterday. Let me show us. Now, look at this. Look at this design. Hierarchy, showing hierarchy. Now, you can see that if you look at this design, the first thing your eyes will go to is this place, the top, your hierarchy. Now, you give this hierarchy to the text here. And another thing is, to consider, look at these boxes. From the smallest, from the bottom, do you see how they are increasing it, how it's being increased? This is hierarchy. It's showing the hierarchies here, from the smallest to the biggest. That's hierarchy. Now, I also let me show us another design. Not this. Okay. Now, okay, let me show us this before I talk about those design. Look at this balance now. This balance. If I remove this dot here, you will see that, if I remove this dot and this dot here, I wanted to touch my screen. I forgot that you won't be able to see me. Now, if I remove these two dots, you will see that this place will be left with this. We'll be left with this part here. And it won't look balanced. But these two orange dots made these dots to be balanced, the arrangement to be balanced. And that's what we call balance. And another thing I wanted us to look at is, if you look at this design, we will say, is this design balanced or not? I want to ask, is this design balanced or not?
It is balanced.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody with thank you. Another person that want to choose not balance. Now, we can all see that it's balanced. This is balanced. And now let me explain why it's balanced. So you will understand how to apply it in your design to make sure your design is balanced.
It looks balanced.
Thank you. Okay. Now, if you look at this now, the use of this, let me start from this place. Now, there was something we checked yesterday. If one part is bigger than the other, this image, if you remove this image from this place now, and this place is just empty, you will see that it will look empty. It will look like as if now, but this image here made this one balance. And in another retrospect, This text also make this image balance here. If this text is not here, this place will just look, will look bland. Another thing is, look at this place now. We have, it's giving a rectangular shape. As this text is being put here, it's being used to balance this rectangular shape. You can see that this place is more is like a rectangular shape, which is being balanced with all these elements here. You must ensure balance in your design. And something is being given a contrast here. If you notice, this text here is being given a contrast. It gives contrast to it. That means it pops in the design. When you first look at the design, what my eye is going to is that Creative Studio. It's the one that is standing out there. And it was also given the hierarchy. Now, also look at this space. We have this box. We have these 3 boxes here. We have 3 boxes here. Do you know that a text was given hierarchy among these 3? 1, 2, 3. The text inside them. Which one? Can you tell me which one was given hierarchy? The hierarchy among these 3 texts, these 3 boxes. We will see that.
What's the question again, sir? What's the question again, sir?
I said, if you look at these 3 boxes, you will see that this what are they calling this text? One was given hierarchy. Which one is given hierarchy among 1, 2, 3?
Let's talk.
The Let's Talk. Thank you. Let's Talk was given the hierarchy. That it has the higher hierarchy compared to the other text here, and that's what we call hierarchy. And that means they give this an hierarchy for it to stand out. And if you look at this place too, look at this body text. Balance is very important. Is very, for a design to be balanced, is very, very important. Balance in a design is very important. You can see that this design is well created and well designed, that is balanced. And let's also look at now this one. Now, can you tell me if you see the contrast? Let me not even ask. If you see this one now, you said contrast was given to this image. Contrast was given to it as this outlines gives it contrast. You know, aside the image being there, these outlines gives it contrast to make it pop. You know, I mentioned that yesterday, that contrast makes a design pop. It makes it pop. If you look at it now, that's what we are saying. And another thing is this, among this now, this text, this particular, the theme is being given the hierarchy here. It's being given the hierarchy here. The theme, it stands out as well. If you also look at this place, is well balanced. This design, if you see that is balanced, there's no one that is lagging, one is going to the left, one is going to the right. It's well balanced.